Hello, everyone. Thank you to another episode of Influencer Interviews. Today, we have rock star Julia Werre out of Maryland, and she's going to talk to us today about all the tips and tricks that she's using to build her Euphoria business. Thank you, Julia, for joining me today.
I am so excited to be here and to be interviewed. This is like a dream come true, really. I feel like a real rock star being interviewed. This is great.
Well, I'm no Oprah, but I'll try. So, yeah, I know you've been in not just network marketing, but the marketing realm for quite some time. So could you just give everybody a little bit about your background and what you've done in the past that kind of brought you up to this point?
Yeah, I would totally love to. So there was no hope for me. I was going to be in sales no matter what. My mom and dad were like pioneers in the whole concept of PMA, positive mental attitude, and did things like never use the word no with us and stuff like that. They were absolutely always really lifting me and my sisters up. It was just amazing. My dad quit his job when my mother was expecting my second sister, and quit his job. They started their own business. So it was just like in my blood, it was going to happen. And I was about 8. And I came into the room where my dad was in the office, and I noticed that he had all these brochures in his racks on the wall. And I was like, Dad, what is that stuff? And he said, oh, it's called marketing. It's called postcards. You put those into envelopes when you send out an invoice, and then people want to buy from you again, and they remember you. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing that when I grow up. And then for fun, we were kind of broke. My mom stayed at home. My dad owned his own business. We were in Catholic school, new baby coming, right? So my for fun thing to do was that I got to participate in the Olympic Greeting Club program. Were you ever in that? Did you ever hear that?
No. What is that?
I would go door to door selling custom imprinted greeting cards. I was 8. For every card I sold, I got $1. So I would go around the block and I'd come home and I'd show my mom what I had. And she'd go, that's great. Do it again. And I'd have to go around the block again until I think my mom would want me to do it until I had 50 cards sold, 50 boxes sold, or whatever it was. It was pretty amazing. So anyway, I did.
Awesome.
I know. It's really funny.
I think all entrepreneurs have a great story about what they did as a kid.
Right.
All of them. It's just something kind of ingrained. I remember when I was a kid, I used to write this. I would go around the neighborhood and gather all the gossip and put it in a newsletter. And then I would sell the newsletter to all our neighbors.
Oh my gosh.
What's really going on? They had to come to me. And I would sell it, and that's how I made money as a kid. That's babysitting. So
that's amazing. How old were you when you did that?
Oh, I was probably 11 years old.
Oh my God. Creativity, yeah. right to the core. You are so cool. That's awesome. Well, yeah. So then the next thing that I did is I won my first sales contest when I was 8.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went to Catholic school, like I said, and we had to sell raffle tickets. And so I sold the most raffle tickets, 268. I sold the winning ticket, and then I won the alternative prize, and all. So great. And then when I was 12, my parents would pull me out of school to go see sales trainers when they would go. So
Really?
So I saw Tom Hopkins when I was 12. I saw Zig Ziglar twice before I was 18. Pretty amazing stuff.
That is pretty amazing. Well, now I'm not surprised why you're moving up the ranks and succeeding so fast, because it's like ingrained in you. I love that. What a great background.
I really love it. There was just no hope for me. I was definitely going to be in sales, and it is completely my passion. It is what I love. I love teaching it. I love sharing it. I think that nothing happens till somebody sells something. I mean, I completely live this lifestyle of a salesperson. I've actually never had a regular job. I've only ever been straight commission my whole life. So when I was like had this really awesome job selling furniture, and it was coming to an end. It was a store that was transitioning, and I was offered the sales manager job. This was like 2006. And they said, you can have this job and you can hire 54 salespeople and you can get an override on everything they sell. And I said, yeah, it sounds great. I'm going to start my own company. I quit. So I did.
Just like that.
Just like that. I had $1,700 saved to my name. And I just went full force with word of mouth, which is my marketing company that I've had. And, I say marketing, but it's really sales. But everything that I do is like marketing based on sales. So that's probably the root of our conversation of what you were asking me earlier. Like when I'm looking at a marketing tool, the only thing I'm thinking is, how will this help me sell more? Like if I were just a marketing person, I might be caught up in how it looks and the colors and the words and the fonts. And I do care about all of that. I totally do. And I have complete respect for that. But all I care about is, how will this make us money? And if I sell this tool to somebody, will it benefit them? It's kind of
I love that, because you are the queen of tools. Like when anybody even mentions the word banner, name tag, business card, anything like, I just go, Julia, just go right to Julia. Connect you to Julia. Because you have a knack for putting together all the right tools that people need all in one place. And I think that's so handy for us.
Well, that's nice to hear you say. Well, let me ask you a question. When you were in school, I think you said you went to all girls Catholic high school too, right?
I did.
Like, when you wore your uniform, right? Did you have to have a name tag on your uniform?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, everybody. Oh, okay. I thought
in California, we're weird like that. No name tags.
No name tags. Well, we had to have a name, what we called a name bar. We had to have a name tag on. And this is the cool thing. My name bar, my year was yellow with black writing. So it was kind of clandestine, right? It was meant to do Euphoria, meant to be a Euphoria rep. It was going to happen no matter what. It was kind of predisposed. But
that's wild.
Yeah, I know, it's really crazy. But we had to wear our name tags, and we wore them on our skirts. But then as the years went on, they required you to wear them on your shirt. But you had to have your name tag on so that the teacher could spot you what year you were, because each year had a different color. Huh. And then they would know your name. So they would know if you were in the right place at the right time or whatever. It's kind of funny. But it kind of set the tone for why I'm so adamant about name tags, which people keep asking me about the name tags, but I just feel like it makes you look so official. And when you walk into a place and your name is on your shirt, I mean, you don't have to have an embroidered shirt in that case, or an embroidered hat or whatever. I mean, I love those too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't. I really love those. But like anything I wear, I just walk in and this kind of leads the way. So that's where that came from. And it really has blossomed, because now I think I've got 10 different kind of name tags. I think not only do I have every one of them, but people are getting different. Like I got 10 different versions of my name, but people are asking me about them all the time. But I tell everybody, I'm like, there's really just a couple of things you need, and a name tag will go really far for that. So that's kind of where that, I thought maybe you had more name tags too. It's funny.
No, but wow. But our skirts were yellow.
No way.
Yeah, yellow and brown.
Oh.
Totally. But no one wore the brown skirts. Everyone wore the yellow. And then I didn't wear yellow for like 10 years because I'm like, no, I wouldn't even look at yellow at the store.
Yeah, I was going to say that's unfortunate. I thought you were saying they were yellow and brown at the same time. That's unfortunate. Ugh. Ours were ugly too.
I think all Catholics go, not anymore. Have you seen how cute the Catholic school outfits are now?
Oh, they're adorable.
Back then, yeah.
It looks like field
and unfair.
Now, I will say, though, I did wear mine extremely short.
Yeah. I went to detention a time or two. They would Father Downey would make us kneel on the floor. And if while kneeling, your skirt didn't touch the ground, you're in trouble. You're going straight to the principal.
Yeah, that day. Right. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. I love it. We digress. That has nothing to do.
Okay. So anyway, You actually make awesome brochures. Well, before we get back to the tools, let me just ask you, I know you've been a few companies. I know you've done marketing for a few network marketing companies, like people from other companies come to you to create their tools. And what did you see in Euphoria that, because you probably could have joined one of a billion different opportunities, but what about this one that stood out or made you go, okay, now that's something like I can't pass this up?
Yeah, so I'm really picky. I come across as like really happy and fun. I'm always laughing and having a great time, and I'm definitely a blue personality, as Big Al would say. If we're not partying, I don't want to do it. But I will say to you that I'm really picky when it comes to selecting what I'm going to sell, because I have to believe in it and I have to feel it in my heart that it's going to make a huge difference. And I also have to know in my gut that it isn't going to be some like run-of-the-mill fly-by-night thing, or that it's not going to be something that people are just going to be able to buy on Amazon. And part of that is because in another life, I actually have an Amazon account with somebody else and we sell things online. So I'm completely aware of that. Like if it's something that I can just get anywhere and sell to anyone, anywhere at any time, there's no value in that. And I will tell you, I was in a company that had a product, and come to find out they were selling it and they were allowing people to sell it on eBay and Amazon. And when I found that out, that was the end of the road. I was done, because it was such an insult to us as educators of our product. I mean, that's how I feel about this. This is my job to be the inviter. It's like the ultimate party planner, right? Like I get to be the ultimate inviter to the party. You get to come and you get to meet all my awesome friends and have an awesome time. And here's some cool stuff that we do. And we hang out together and we get together and go on vacations. I mean, for that personality type, but it does have to be something of value and something distinctive. And I think Euphoria really answers that. And of course, that also speaks to my personal experience. So I've told most people, but I'll just say it again. My husband, who is younger than me, had a heart attack in October, and I was introduced to this by you in November. So that was really, I don't want to get choked up because I can go there. Yeah, I can go there pretty quick. When you love someone, so we had this big event, and we got in the car, and we live like, I don't know, a mile from our grocery store, and we were going to drive there. He wanted wings for the football game. And we were talking, and he turned to me. DJ is the nicest person. He never yells at me. And he barked at me and said, "Stop yelling at me." And I was like, "Yell at you on my cell phone." And I looked at him, and he was clutching his chest, and he was behind the wheel.
So scary. Terrifying.
And that opened my mind to what you were saying to me.
Because he is so young.
Yeah.
It's not normal. I mean, sadly, nowadays it is getting to that point where it's more normal, but it is not normal for somebody that young to have an issue like that unaware of, when you, just out of curiosity now, when you got his DNA test, did it show some reds in those areas?
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing that was interesting too is that, and this I have to laugh because you've opened my eyes so much. But one of the funny things is, so I've always eaten gluten-free, dairy-free, nearly vegan, not really vegan, but anyway, I've been like that. Haven't had soda in I don't know how many years. I haven't had added sugar or sugar substitute in however long. It's been forever. DJ, on the other hand, how many hamburgers can he eat every day? How much soda can he drink? like he's the opposite, the other end of the spectrum. So people will always say, well, like, what did you feel with your product? And I always say, well, I'm kind of the one end of the spectrum that, I had taken supplements before, and I tell my story. I'm like, yeah, but my husband, on the other hand, he is having amazing results. He can tell me whether or not he's had his supplement because he feels that different.
Wow. That's amazing. Kelly's kind of like that.
Oh, okay.
Like, he'll know. He'll after eating a meal or an hour or so goes by, he's like, oh, I forgot my supplements. Like he feels it, which I just find amazing.
Me too. I just can't believe it. I mean, people will say to me, well, what am I going to feel? I'm like, well, most people, nothing, unless you're like DJ over here, I guess, or Kelly, then you're going to know.
Sadly, most people are.
Oh,
They eat whatever and they don't think about, I always just say peace of mind. You're going to feel peace of mind that you're doing the right thing, regardless of what else you do in your lifestyle.
Yeah, it's like the perfect harmony, right? It's like the music is just playing perfectly. You've got this peace of mind, this ease about it. You don't have to think about it. That's the other thing too, Tina. I will say that, when you think about people recommending, oh, you should take zinc if you're feeling a cold coming on, or, oh, you just rode on an airplane, maybe you should have some vitamin C, or really you don't get enough sunshine, you're in Baltimore, the sun doesn't come out too often anymore, or Seattle or whatever. But that's just guessing. I literally would have no idea what that meant or how much I could take or anything like that. And the ease of this, because it's just done for me and I don't have to think about it, worry about it, wonder anymore. It's done for me. It's just a great feeling, really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So there was actually two things I specifically wanted to be sure to talk to you about. One of them, because I'm a big brochures. I carry them everywhere, whether it's in my back pocket or my purse or my glove box. I carry them everywhere, and I love handing out the brochures. First of all, they're beautifully done. They're so informative. They have my information on them. Secondly, I'm just a big advocate of people thinking that I know a lot less than I actually know. I would rather people think, oh, she doesn't know the 18 genes, because honestly, I don't. I couldn't name them if you asked me to. But when I'm talking about them, I always whip out a brochure and point to them, because I'm a big advocate on, I want that person to think, well, if she doesn't know it and she's doing great, must be okay to not know anything and you'll do fine, right? Yeah. So I always pull out a tool. I'm really big on that. But you take like the tools to a whole different level, because you don't just pull out a brochure, you pull out a Sharpie. Will you tell everybody what you do? Because I just saw a video of you doing this the other day and I was like, Julia's a genius. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So what's really interesting is my business partner and very good friend, Brenda Graham, cannot stand to do anything on the internet. She's fine with it, but she really just wants to do stuff in person. So every time we would go to lunch, she's got this jean jacket and she's got a pocket, an inside pocket, and she'll just whip it out.
I can picture that.
Oh, it's comical. Like if you're in line somewhere, she's passing them out as she goes. It's really cute. So here's the brochure, and interestingly enough, it's got everything in here that you want. But if you are talking to somebody, the smartest thing to do is to grab your Sharpie, which I think everybody should carry a Sharpie. Now this is the big one, which I think is cool because it's got the chisel point. So that's why I'm bringing that. But I would just say to somebody, oh my goodness, it's been so awesome talking to you. Look, here's my, here's me, right? So I'm Julia. I'm going to circle that for you so that you can find it on here. It's kind of hard. I'm just going to put a little star next to my phone number, because I want you to know you can text me or call me whenever you want. Now, I do have my, my Mind Me on here. So I'll even tell them, you can underline begin, you can text begin. If you mark it up like that, then it's all of a sudden theirs. The other thing too is, you and I were talking about genes today, and you were asking me about weight management. And let me see here. I gotta mark this for you about the weight management, because you really want to check that out. But what I was telling you about was the gene that I'm most interested in. And you just start drawing pictures, and it doesn't even matter what you say. Circle them, draw a line through an X. A little note next to something. And the reason I do that, the reason I mark these up, is because the minute you do that, it becomes a living document. Now it belongs to them. They take ownership, especially if you can put somebody's name on the top and, Mary Jo. And then if you can put it in their hands all marked up, now it's this thing that they can study and learn from and learn about. And it's not like going to a trade show and coming home with 50 of these and then tossing them in the trash. This is yours.
I so totally love that. I think that's such a cool tip. I'm going to go get a new Sharpie and stick it in my purse. I think that is just genius.
Yeah, me too. I didn't create this idea, but it really, I would see this over and over again, especially at a trade show. Like when people would have brochure that might have a price list on it or something like that, and they would make notes next to it. I was like, man, you know, you never throw away the one that was given to you specifically about you, right? About your story. So that makes the most sense to do it like that. And really to give it to them that way. That's one of my tips that I really love. I love being able to put that in their hand. And then I have my brochure stands, which are here, that are very special. And I don't know, have you ever seen my brochure stands?
I like it.
About them? Yeah. So it's, the cool part about it is the brochure goes in the front, and it's got a business card slot. So the business cards go in that part. And I thought I had my business card sitting right here, but it'll go in there, and it'll be the opposite color so that people see it. That to me, that's the kind of brochure rack that I recommend that everybody get. It's right here. My brochure, my business card was right in front of me the whole time. So there it is.
Perfect.
So it's like that. So it just fits right in there.
And I love the rounded corners on the business card. That's my favorite kind of business card.
Yeah, it looks. This one has a little hologram on it. So a long time ago, there was a guy who did, and I can't remember the name of the guy, but he did a whole thing about business cards specifically. And he said, if you invest money in anything in your business, make it be an investment in your card, because people will remember that and judge you by that, because it's the very first thing they see when they meet you, like at a trade show or something.
Well, and I always go, because I go to a lot of networking groups, and I've been part of the same one called Successful Thinkers for like 10 years. So it's a lot of the same people. And the funniest thing I find is that when people jump from business to business to business, but they use the same Vistaprint picture, they just change the information. And there's nothing worse when then they cross off the name of the company and write a new name. I'm like, are you so cheap that you can't afford a new $10 business card? I mean, really, you're so right. It's so important. It's such a representation of you. Do you want to look like you're made of money, or do you want to look like you're made of not cheap? I don't know. And the other thing, you know, what used to happen is you'd go to a mega networking event, and you'd show up, and there would be 15 people with the same picture on their business card, the photographer, the florist, the bridal consultant, everybody went out, and you'd be like, oh, and no, I got your card. Oh, you go to Vistaprint, and it's like the first one on the top. You're like, oh, I get it now. How lazy can you be?
And on the back, courtesy of Vistaprint. Yeah, that's another one that, you got me there. That's a button for me. I'm telling you, you just pushed a button. That's like the worst. So I got started in sales, like professional sales, selling printing. So for me, printing was this like second nature thing. And I love everything about it. I love the ink. I love the smell of the printing presses. I love it all. Printing is like, once that ink is flowing through your veins, it's forever. So for me, I like anything printed. So I get really excited about cards and brochures and letters and all that stuff, which we kind of got away from that for a while. The big mistake that I think a lot of people make is that they want to use the internet in place of something. They want to use it in place of their brochure. They want to use it in place of communicating directly or whatever. And truthfully, what's neat about the internet is that it's about giving us one more way that we can touch, as opposed to one less way, I think. I mean,
I think the more is the better. If we're doing this golf tournament in a couple weeks, and we've got cards and postcards with lollipops on them, and brochures and flyers that we made, and the coupons that we're going to duplicate the coupon for the $100 off the DNA test. I'm like, if I give you 25 things and you keep one or two, I feel like I'm good. Right? I'd rather overload you with stuff than you leave and go, oh, I don't have that one thing that girl handed me, and then not remember what it was.
Who was she, and what did she say again, and what was going on with that lady? Yeah.
Right.
Because we're yellow and black, feel free to have somebody dress up in a bumblebee costume and pass out those lollipops, because that's... Are you
volunteering?
I totally am. I'm there. I'm all over it. Yeah.
I see a convention party where we're all dressed as bumblebees.
I'm there. I'm really into that.
Okay, regional meeting in Arizona.
Yeah.
In October, right around Halloween season, and we'll all come as in a group costume.
Right. I need the dilly bop. Right. Well, it's funny too, because that actually is an interesting point, which is why are people buying the marketing materials? You said golf tournament, golf tournaments, 5K runs, trade shows, any kind of an expo, that's why people have the marketing materials and the brochures, right? That's where people's initial thought is. And what we're trying to do is share a variety of ways to use the materials. At least that's where my brain goes. Is it, not just the expo, not just the golf tournament, like what you're talking about. You're going to networking events and talking to people and, meeting people on the street, or like Brenda in line at the busy restaurant. There's a line out the door and she passes out a brochure. Got to read something while you're standing here.
I love it. And I think the one thing people miss actually is they join a business and they don't think of it like a business, like a brick and mortar, because we don't have to pay the overhead or the inventory or the insurance or the employees or the all the stuff. But then they assume marketing is in there as well, and they forget that it's still a business. Like,
right,
I probably spend $600 a month on my business, not just my product, but like actually the things that I need to run my business. I need advertising bait so I can give out free trips and free hotel certificate. I decide so I can do a cool video presentation. I need MindMe so I can have a text platform. I need, I use Constant Contact. There's another $100, right? I use all these different tools and the materials because that to me is called running a business. And people that come in the business and they spend their $159, their 99 DNA test, they're like, that's it. I'm like, yeah, but now you have like part of a business. Now you have like the story part of the business, but you're missing the tools to actually grow your business. So I'm a huge advocate of all kinds of marketing.
So I actually hear two different things there too. So there's the one group who doesn't realize they need to spend any money. And I actually have a very good story about that. But there's the other group who says, I'm spending money on this and on that and on this and on that. And oh my God, I have no idea how to put it together. So I actually have two thoughts there, if it's okay if I share them.
You do.
The first thought is so my dad passed, so my mom remarried Bob, and Bob is also a salesman. What a shocker. So Bob, Bob was selling textbooks, and he sold textbooks for 30 years. His name is Bob Smith. It sounds like an alias, but it's true. And so he picked the color red to brand himself. So he was going to brand himself with the color red. So he had custom business cards printed, pens with his name printed on them, and then he would get bags, and every year it would be a different kind of red bag. My favorite was one that bunched up and looked like a little strawberry when it was all bunched up closed, and then it could open up, and then it would be this bag that people could carry. And as a textbook salesman, he called on professors. He branded himself all the time. He didn't wait. And his company was Wiley Publishing. Wiley is the biggest textbook publisher, and they also do like the dummies books and stuff like that. And he was still marketing and branding himself on his own dime, because that's what you do when you're in sales, because you got to brand yourself. And real estate agents are the same too. They need to brand themselves, right? So they go to work for a company, but they can't wait for the company to buy all their stuff for them. You have to brand yourself and express your identity and who you are, and then get that information out in whatever way that is for yourself as well. And what's cool is we have these great tools that we can use. We have these fantastic colors. So we've got name tags, table runners, like when you go to a trade show, they might give you a black tablecloth, and this bright yellow table runner works great. We've got pop-up banners that you can carry that have DNA strands on them. And we've got all kinds of cool stuff, gear and bags and things like that. That's amazing, and I love that. On the other side of things, one of the biggest challenges is that people go crazy and they buy everything they see. Somebody comes out with a new widget or gadget, and they buy that, wanting to jump in and use this great tool for their business. But it's interesting because it's like a Sharpie, right? So this is an awesome tool, and think of all the things you can do with this great tool. You could draw on your walls and make a mural. You could, mark up a brochure. You could, make it look like a fake tattoo. I mean, there's a million things you could do with a Sharpie, right? Well, it's just like this with our tools as well. So people buy a lot of tools. So one of the things that I do with a lot of people, especially my team, is we brainstorm ways to use these tools and the message to put out to the world that will get people to take action. Because that is the next question that people ask me. Well, what's the return on investment, or what's the, how much did you spend on this or that or the other? And so yesterday I was doing a call with somebody and they were asking me, what did you spend what is your customer acquisition fee? And I was like, man, I never added it up. And I added it up. It was like 45 cents. And I was like, because once you know how to put it together, but that's kind of one of the things that I love doing with people, is thinking of all the tools they've bought as a puzzle that we're going to put together. And you probably have heard me say this, other people have heard me say it. My famous thing that I say, or my favorite thing to say, is that sales is a series of next steps. That's all it is. Just another step. Think of a million ways you can touch that customer, and now do them all, and then think of a million more. Just do like what you just said, just, the brochure and the card and the postcard and the candy and the golf tournament, a million ways to touch somebody. So, because we have the most amazing team in the entire world, and we know that, we actually sit down and brainstorm objectives and things we want to overcome and what we want to say, and scripts. I mean, like Texting Tuesday, what an amazing thing, right?
Yes, totally. I mean, and it solves, I think, so many problems. Like, we all know, if you're sitting in an office in a cubicle and you have a quota, you're going to do it because the boss is there staring, right? Breathing down your neck.
So true.
But if we can just keep each other accountable, because we're all on the same Zoom at the same time, like, it's so, plus there's a everybody gets rejected. We talk a lot about failure and rejection because it's going to happen, like, all the time, right? Like anything else,
right? There's
going to be failure. But how much more fun if somebody tells you to F off, like when you're sitting next to your best friend Julia, versus sitting at home going, oh my gosh,
right? They just said that. They just said thank you very hard.
So I love the Welcome Wednesdays. I love the Texting Tuesdays. I love the little spontaneous trainings here that pop up in the group. And and I love these interviews because people get so much value. My biggest takeaway from all these interviews is that everybody on this team that's an influencer couldn't be more opposite than everybody else on the team who's an influencer, which just goes to show you that it's not one thing or one kind of person. You don't have to be like Julia. You don't have to be like Gordy. You don't have to be like me. Just be you.
Right.
And try the things that everybody else is trying. And when you find one or two that work, stick with it and do it over and over and over until you get where you want to be. I just love it. But I did want to ask you before we finish, there's one more. I know you work with a business coach.
Oh yeah, I do.
You a challenge. And now you've challenged your team with the same, I want to hear all about it.
Okay, so you just mentioned all the influencer videos and interviews, and it's so crazy because everyone has built on the next one. I actually see the common thread that runs through, like, oh my God, this is so cool. And Gordy was the last one, but Sherry Benet and Ruth and Sherry Denny and Tina Butler, and Curry, every single one of these interviews has just inspired my team and me to want to do more. And when you become an influencer, your very first thought is, it's like you're going forward. And the minute you become an influencer, you whip around and all of a sudden now you have to be facing that way to bring your people up, right? So, getting everybody ready to do that. So my coach, Tara, had this great idea. I was running through all the things I was doing, and I was telling her that I had created a Mind Me, I Decide MailChimp string. So it was this process of what I was going to do, and I refer to it as the gauntlet. So I'm going to run people through the gauntlet, and there's two gauntlets. There's the texting gauntlet, and there's the email gauntlet. And then the prize at the end is anybody who responds to that, I'm going to call them. I'm actually going to call them on the phone. No, like people are like, oh my God, you're calling them? What do you say? So then I go through the script of what I say and things like that. So what she said to me was, what are the statistics you're getting? And I was like, okay, so like 1 out of 10 answers the phone, because people don't answer their phone anymore. And of the people, the people that answer their phone, 1 out of 3 of them moves forward in some way, whether any way, and it could be a 3-way call or something else. So she's like, okay, so 30 people, you need to call 30 people to get one to go forward. I said, yeah, I guess that's true. She goes, great. So let me ask you a question. What is a reward you would give yourself if you do that, if you made 30 phone calls? And then she gave me some boundaries on that. So it's a daily, well, she didn't say that at first, but let me just say this. It's a daily thing you're going to do. You're going to call 30 people every day. How would you reward yourself? And it can't be like this monumental, I'm going to go to St. Martin because I made 30 phone calls. Although, you know.
What?
I know. But it can be something small. So it could be something like, okay, if you do that, then you can watch 15 minutes of your favorite show, or you can stop everything that you're doing and go meditate, or, you know, something you would want to do and you would really enjoy very, very much. And then she said, well, tell me a consequence for something you would, not a punishment, a consequence if you don't do all 30. And for me, I was like, oh man, I just got these strawberry vegan shakes. It'll be having to eat drink a vanilla. They're horrible. A vanilla vegan shake. And she's like, okay, that's what it is. So then I went to my team and I said, let's do this together. So here's the deal. Every single day, not only do we do the Tina sheet, you know, the Tina to do, not only do we do that, but we also, they will text me and I will text her my results. So how many calls you made, so how many dials, because a dial, it has to be a unique dial, and how many people answered, did you get an appointment, whatever, how many people told you to thank you off, you know, all of that stuff, right? So, okay, so the first day I got back from one of my team members, well, I didn't do it. Black coffee is not my favorite. That was his consequence. The other guy was, well, I guess I'm weeding today, you know, and I was like, yeah, I'm drinking vanilla shakes today. But
that is hysterical.
I know, right?
I love it. Yes.
So I did get one day with 30. So I got my strawberry shake, but I do have my days of these are my vanilla shake days. But this is the cool part. Yeah, but this is the cool part. I realized, okay, so I'm probably doing half on a daily basis in between everything else that I'm doing of directly calling people. But I am telling you, I'm getting more people on I Decide. My language has gotten better. My confidence has just skyrocketed. That's the other thing, like, because I'm practicing. So I'm getting comfortable with talking. So think of a consequence. You got to run the vacuum. I don't know.
You need to bring DJ into it.
Right.
Every time you do your 30, it's like 2 minutes of makeout.
That works great.
I think that's a good one. If not, it's like cauliflower chips or some gross thing.
Yeah. Well, he would never do that because, yeah, you're right. It would be gross. My reward would be broccoli. Your punishment. I mean, your consequence would be broccoli.
Right. That would be my consequence.
That would be my reward. It's so fun. Well, so I really challenge everybody. I have to say, you know, just as you and Kelly would invite someone to take on a challenge, 30 a day is a lot. Mm-hmm. But it really isn't, because if we were saying 100 a day, we'd all hit 30. We would.
That's true.
The way it works, right? But if that's your goal of hitting 30 and you only do 16, that's totally, okay, if I add that up.
Still amazing.
64 more calls than I did last week. 64 more calls. I mean, that's a blessing for me because I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone, and so is the team. And so every single day, at least one of my team has had a 3-way call.
So you know what you could do?
Tell me.
I'll think of a reward for the first person that does 37 days in a row.
Whew.
You can do it, right? The first person on your team will talk.
Yeah, that's a big one, because that That is
hard.
amazing. That's an amazing goal. Yeah, because you're fitting it all in. And I was realizing, this is a great coaching tool. Like, what do you say and what do you do? And then I would love to share with anybody who's interested what our scripts are, but also the gauntlet that I just described, what we're doing for that, because we're loving that. So yeah, so I love tools. I love to play with them in every possible way. Can you tell it just lights me up? I just get all excited, and yeah, it's my favorite thing. It's absolutely in my mind, just like playing a video game. It's like Frogger. I'm trying to get across the street without getting
Well, we have a tool for you. It's a reward for influencer. You're going to get it at the convention with all the other influencers. It's exclusive to just this group of people who hit influencer by the convention. So it's going to be, I think you're going to like it.
I'm going to love it. I love prizes.
So what I'm hearing is you're going to do a training called the Gauntlet sometime in the next 7 days on the team page. That's what I heard, right?
I love that. Let's do the Gauntlet.
Awesome. So thank you, Julia. Thank you so much for participating in this. That was a ton of nuggets. That was a ton of tips and tricks and things to do and things to implement. And I know people are going to get just massive value from it. So
I'm so glad. I've loved it.
Thank you enough.
Thank you so much, Tina. I love being here. I love the team. I love you guys so much. It's just my world. So thank you so much.
You bet, Julia. We will talk to you very soon. Thank you again.
Bye.